Hey y'all, Rick Sky here. Welcome back to another Timepieces for Tomorrow video. Now if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, be sure to do so and ring that bell to be notified whenever I post another video. I've got a lot of wristwatch videos now and thousands more coming soon. But within this video I want to talk about the somewhat recently announced 39% tariff for Swiss. Well, it's not just wristwatches, but it's a lot of other things. But we're going to talk about the 39% tariff on wristwatches and the impact that I predict that it'll have. Now, if you haven't been a subscriber to my channel for a while, you may not have seen my Timepieces for Tomorrow video series. Check that out. I've been collecting wristwatches for well over 30 years. So don't claim to be an expert, but I do remember the days, and I'll use, it's not the best wristwatch, but it's probably the one everybody knows about, Rolex. So we're going to use them a lot within this video as an example. But back in the days, look back in 1980s, 1990s, if you were buying a Rolex on the gray market or the secondary market, often Rolex could be purchased at a steep discount on the secondary market. Now obviously there's advantages to purchasing from an authorized dealer, an AD, with the warranty and whatnot, but in the past often someone could get a deep discount if they purchase Rolex from the secondary market. Recent years, and this is well prior to the announcement of the tariff, Rolex was trading on secondary market pretty much across the range, significant percentage greater than retail price for most all models. Now there are some that are pretty close to retail, some of the precious metals pieces, but for the most part, throughout the past few years, Rolex on secondary market has been trading well above retail. And a lot of that is due to the fact that whether it's true shortage or not, some may argue that, but there's a huge demand for Rolex, and there's not a lot of supply in the authorized dealers. A lot of the authorized dealers, one would go there, they would have for exhibition only wristwatch references, meaning that you can see them but you can't buy them. And the people that can buy them are the ones that have extensive purchase history, and they're offered the Rolexes that are in the back for the VVVIP clientele. So with that being said, Rolex, and again, this is wristwatches in general, but I'm going to use Rolex as the primary example within this video. But in the case of Rolex, they were already hard to get, short supply in the authorized dealers. Now you're tacking on a 39% tariff. Now this is a fake number, but let's just use $1,000. So let's say a wristwatch was $1,000. Well, now you've got a 39% tariff. That's an additional $390. So to give you an idea of, as you go into the thousands, how significant that 39% tariff can become. Also, the other interesting aspect of this is even wristwatches that people may already own, even wristwatches that are in the country, those, because inevitably Rolex retail price is going to increase, so the ones that are already floating around the market, those prices are going to increase. So we're already seeing Rolex wristwatches trade on the secondary market, the gray market, well above retail price for most all references. Now we're going to see that rocket up even more. Now what's unknown, historically Rolex has placed annual increase often across the board, often across all references of wristwatches. Sometimes they would do more for the precious metals than they would the stainless steel metals. I mean, it varies among years, but most years Rolex historically has incurred a price increase. So you got the price increase that they're placing on their wristwatches annually, or most every year. Now you've got this tariff situation. So inevitably what's happened, Rolex had already placed itself, in my opinion, out of the mainstream market just because of their annual increases and the perceived shortage and how high the prices on secondary market were over retail. They'd already placed themselves into the stratosphere from a pricing perspective prior to the tariffs. Now inevitably what's going to happen is they're going to be even less accessible. They're going to be a lot more expensive, and you're going to see more people going to brands like Tudor. Now, with that being said, this is a Tudor right here. But even with Tudor prior to the 39% tariff, and by the way, if you don't know what Tudor is the secondary brand of the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation that owns Rolex, and it was created by Hans Wilsdorf himself to be, I don't want to misquote Mr. Wilsdorf, but it was basically a poor man's Tudor. I mean, a poor man's Rolex, or a more affordable Rolex, however he said it. But now, Tudor, even before the tariffs, and especially after the tariffs, Tudor is even more expensive than Rolex historically was, significantly more expensive. So it begs the question, again, using Rolex as the primary example here, I don't think that Rolex is the best wristwatch on the market, although they make an exceptional wristwatch, but they have, without a doubt, the best marketing within the wristwatch industry, if not other industries as well. I mean, their marketing is excellent. When people that don't know wristwatches, when they hear the name Rolex, even if they don't know wristwatches inside and out from a hobbyist perspective or a serious collector's perspective, they will likely know the name. That's how good Rolex's marketing is. But in this 39% tariff scenario, Rolex, and they already had, alienated a large customer base because of their already extremely high prices. Now you've got the 39% tariff. Now you've got their secondary brand, Tudor, which is priced through the stratosphere now as well. And Tudor's a good wristwatch. It doesn't have, and subscribe to my channel, check out my Timepieces for Tomorrow video playlist. It doesn't have the usage of premium metals like Rolex does. It's got a great movement. It doesn't have the refined finishing like Rolex does. There's always just enough with Tudor so that Rolex, or the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation, I should say, has been able to differentiate it from Rolex. You know, making it, well, it's great. Maybe it's 80% as good as Rolex, but it's not 100%. You know, letting people know that if they buy Tudor, yes, they're getting an excellent wristwatch, but they're not getting it all, because if they were getting it all, then they wouldn't have the perceived need to buy Rolex instead of Tudor. But I think in Rolex's example, with the 39% tariff, I would see a few things panning out. Number one, the annual price increases, those may come to a stall. I don't think Rolex is going to discount any of their existing or upcoming references, and I don't think that they're going to eat some of the tariff. I don't think they're going to do that. I think, and correct me in the comments below, but I think that Hans Wilsdorf Foundation maybe, is it a non-profit, or it's a weird corporate structure. I haven't dug into the weeds, but y'all comment below, educate me. But this all leads to, in the case of Rolex, and I'm saying Hans Wilsdorf Foundation, Rolex is the crown. It's got the little crown logo. Tudor is the shield. It's got the shield logo. And it begs the question, if Rolex wants to sell, if Hans Wilsdorf Foundation wants to sell their wristwatches to the common folks, to the peasants, they're going to have to release a tertiary brand. And I've said this for a long time. And I'm going to go way out there, and y'all may laugh at me, and I hope you do, and I hope you comment below, because I want to hear what you think. I think that this tariff situation is going to fast-track the reveal of the third Hans Wilsdorf brand. Now, I'm posting another video on this. I'm not going to get into the weeds within this video, but think about that. But as a whole, the Swiss wristwatch industry, these are watches that are manufactured in Switzerland, 39% tariff. So even some of the lower tier, but still good brands, you got Longines, you've got Oris, you've got, let's see, even Tissot. Tissot is going to go up. Across the board, it's going to go up because of the tariffs. So if it's made in Switzerland, that price, the price of that wristwatch, unless the manufacturer is eating some of the tariff themselves, it's going to go up in price significantly. So some of the brands, and I don't see this happening either, some of the brands could move to neighboring countries. You know, I doubt we're going to see Rolex, for example, move outside of Switzerland. But some of the other brands, they may say, well, you know what? Nice knowing y'all. We're going to move to Germany, or we're going to move to wherever, somewhere where the tariffs would be less. I don't think we're going to see any of the brands, Rolex or any brand for that matter, manufacturing wristwatches in Mississippi in the United States. Although that would be a good financial move. A company like Audemars Piguet, Patek Philippe, Vacheron Constantin, Rolex, they could open a huge production facility alongside the Mississippi River. They could have the Mississippi River to transport their goods, because you know it connects to the Gulf of America, as they call it now. And you know, it'd be a great business model, but I don't see. And if it happens, y'all saw it you heard it on this video first. If it happens, if a large Swiss wristwatch manufacturing company, if they move to Mississippi and they open a production facility alongside the Mississippi River, you can tell them I said it first. And if you're that wristwatch manufacturing company, send me a wristwatch, because I'd love to review it on my channel. But there's so many things that could happen. Now, we're going to see the flip side of this is that Swiss watches, obviously made in Switzerland, but we're probably going to see a lot of the Swiss watchmakers moving to other countries, some to the United States, and creating new micro brands. So brands that have the Swiss DNA, you know, they're Swiss made, they're very great timekeeping capability, great complications, but they won't have the prestige of saying, when you look here at this, for example, at 6 o'clock position, Swiss made. And maybe it can be Swiss made, but it won't be made in Switzerland. There's a difference. I mean, you got Swiss people making Swiss watches in the United States, or any other country for that matter. Yeah, it's Swiss made because a Swiss person made it, but it's not made in Switzerland. And a lot of people want that made in Switzerland with their high-end wristwatch. They feel like they're taking a shortcut if they don't have it. So this 39% tariff for the VIPs, the super collectors, the people with bottomless budgets to invest, I shouldn't say invest, that's the wrong word, bottomless budgets to collect wristwatches, those people will feel minimal impact. I mean, if you're buying let's say $500,000 wristwatch, what's a 39% tariff on top of that? I mean, those mega multi-millionaire, billionaire collectors, they're not going to think twice. But for your average Joe and Jane, that you'd collect Rolex before it became too expensive, and then you'd collect Tudor because Rolex was way too expensive. For those people, it's going to pretty much eliminate the collecting of those brands, but it'll create heightened new interest in micro brands and Swiss brands that have potentially relocated from Switzerland to the United States to avoid passing along that 39% tariff to the customers. So I don't know, this is really going to disrupt the Swiss watch industry as a whole. And I know this was Rolex and Tudor heavy, but the Swiss wristwatch industry as a whole, except for some of the Holy Trinity, Audemars Piguet, Vacheron Constantin, Patek Philippe, most people that are buying those, they pretty much have bottomless disposable budgets, and they're not really going to care about a 39% tariff. But for your commoner, your peasant that's wanting to collect wristwatches, it's going to change the game. And it could be for the better, because what we might see as competition starts to emerge, we might see this once dominant, and I'll use Rolex again as example, this dominant powerhouse within the wristwatch industry, we might see them start to become more aggressive with pricing, trying to earn back customers. I mean, who knows? And I still stand by that tertiary, that third Hans Wilsdorf Foundation wristwatch brand. I think it's going to happen. But tell me what you think within the comment section below, man. I am sweating. I'm down here at the Appalachian Ocean, and just wanted to post this video and get y'all chewing on some comments. And I'm going to post follow-up videos in response to your comments or questions. So thanks for your viewership. Be sure to subscribe, ring that bell when you do, and check out my Timepieces for Tomorrow video playlist. I got a lot of wristwatch-centric content and thousands more videos coming soon. Y'all have a good day. Hey y'all, iRick Guy here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please be sure to subscribe to my channel, and when you do, ring that bell icon to be notified whenever I post another video. Thanks for your viewership, and y'all have a good day.